Hello and welcome to my arty update. I am sorry that this is a week late, but I have been very busy with the Beginner's Guide to Easy Doodles. So I've been working really hard in my Zentangle Neurographic Sketchbook, and last time I didn't show you all of the pictures that I drew. All of them have been shown on the Beginner's Guide to Doodles Parallel Lines, and I've also been working quite hard on it's the third tutorial in that series, which is curves, and that will be published on Sunday. So I hope you find those useful, but I will show you all of the other pictures that I've done that haven't been part of that series. So this was the first one, which was a very simple neurographic picture. I used some diluted purple ink again. And I'm not happy with how it works in this sketchbook. It works much better on the watercolour paper. These sketchbooks are not great for any medium that's water-based. Then I did this one. What did I do with this one? I was just messing around really. This one was another experiment. It didn't go to plan. Now when things don't go to plan, I won't give up. I will just carry on, and I tried to just fill in all of the patterns and shapes with some regular Zentangle patterns just to get the practice in really. So now this one I did as a full process a few weeks ago. It was a basic neurographic picture because sometimes I like to fall back to those because they are just so relaxing. But I didn't feel like it was finished, so I kind of went back to it a few days later and just added in these extra bubbles here, and I just used my coloured pencil here. This is ink and this is gel pen, but yeah, I just used a bit of coloured pencil. I think it has improved it, but yeah, it's not my best. And this isn't my best either. I was trying to do something with some autumnal colours and it didn't work out. But yeah, as I said, not everything works out. This was just another Zentangle page. Now I like to do at least one of these a week where I just mess around with some neurographic backgrounds and just fill in all of the sections with different tangles. This one was far more complex, and what did I use here? I used my felt tip pens. It looks like a female reproductive system here, but yeah, ovaries. I'm sorry, it wasn't intended to be that way. Now this was a pattern that I was going to include in the tutorial on Sunday, but I've saved it for a future tutorial because the curves one was becoming too long. So yeah, we'll come back to that one another time. This was another one that I did as a full process video, and yeah. So this one is, I don't know if I've got my other sketchbook to hand. I did a very similar one in an old sketchbook. I'll just see if I can find it. So this pattern, or these colours rather, I found on a picture on Pinterest, and I really liked the kind of blue and green. Now I haven't had much success with green pictures, but this one I really did like. Now what I do from time to time is go through my old sketchbooks and try to revise the drawings a little bit and try and improve them. And so this one I'd used my bad ink. Yeah, so this was back in, crikey, May to July, this sketchbook. So I used some very bad ink that had been mixed up, and yeah, it wasn't great. But this one I thought I'd try using my Inktense pencils. Now I also haven't had much success using these Inktense pencils in my sketchbook, but I thought I'd give it another go because I have learned quite a lot about them in the last few months. And I quite like this technique. I wasn't really happy with these triangle shapes here, so I'm going to come back to this and these colours, and yeah, at some point. But you know, as with everything, the list grows longer and longer, and I never know when I'm going to get to come back to things. But I did try another page with the Inktense pencils in pinks and purples. This one was less successful. I used too much ink and then not enough ink of the pencils, but you know, I really do like these, and they work a lot better in this sketchbook than the inks and watercolour paint. This one was again not very successful. But no, that's not true. It was successful because it was fun to do, but aesthetically I don't love it. And this one didn't go well either. Again, I used the Inktense pencils, but I used way too much pressure. So yeah, I ended up dabbing some of the ink or the watery ink off. But actually, doing that kind of background bit there, I really like it. So I might use that in future drawings. So these next ones are just ones I did for the tutorial on Sunday. And this one I got a bit more tangly. It's so busy that I can't even tell what's going on, but every now and again I try to use more colours, and whenever I do, it never really seems to work. I think there's a happy medium to be found on the amount of colours that you're going to use in a page, and yeah, I love the colours, but it's just too busy. This drawing is just too busy. And then yeah, that is it. That is it. That's all I've done in my sketchbook. Well, there's quite a lot actually. I've got about, I don't know, 15 or so pages left here, and hopefully I'll get those finished over Christmas. I am going to hopefully, gosh, fingers crossed, part 4 of the Beginner's Guide to Doodles will go live over the Christmas period. I do have to still finish it, and I have to draw some pictures for that as well. If I don't manage to publish it over Christmas, it will be first thing in the new year. So I have done one picture in my Inktense sketchbook. After my success last time with this little cottage, I thought I'd try another one. The perspective's good. The actual inking less so, but yeah, I just need more practice, that's all. So in my regular sketchbook I've done 2 pencil drawings. This one was just a little doorway. I was quite pleased with that, but it wasn't very interesting. And then I tried to redo the one that I did in my Inktense sketchbook, but with pencil. The perspective is better on this one, and yeah, I was quite pleased with that overall. Also in the new year, I really do hope to get back to doing some crafting. So if you've been around for a while, you'll know that I very much like to make these little models and these little trees. Now I haven't made a model since, well, early summer, and I haven't made a tree for an awful long time. I've also got lots and lots in my cupboard, so I kind of need to do a bit of a stock clearance. Now this particular tree, I think it's looking a bit bleak, so I do want to add to it and make it a little prettier. But that will be in the new year, because crafting over Christmas is not a good idea because there's just chaos in the house. So also in the new year I've got a wedding to prepare for. No, not mine. Some of you may know that I originally started my YouTube channel because I thought it would be a nice way to share how I make all of these wedding flowers on paper. So I did used to make these and sell these online, but I had to stop doing that when I fell ill a couple of years ago. And most of my time when I fell ill, I was resting in bed and I had no energy to do anything. My brain didn't work properly. And I spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos. And I thought to myself, well, why don't you share what you've learned with everybody else? So that's what I did. That's why I started my channel. And what's happened is I've kind of been using it as a video diary of my progress with art and trying out other bits and pieces. But yeah, I digress. So in the new year, I will be preparing everything for my daughter's wedding. I know. That either makes me very old or very young when I had her. Well, I certainly wasn't very young when I had her. And yes, I probably am getting a bit old now. Anyway, because I'll be preparing a lot of these flowers for her wedding, and it will take months and months and months because it does take quite a lot of work, I will probably be including some of that in my arty updates or crafty updates as well. What else? So I've been working very hard as well on my Christmas cards this year. I showed you, I think it was last time, some of the designs I was coming up with. And I had said that I preferred this style. I thought it was more me. So that's what I've been working on. I've only made 9 good ones, but I don't send very many Christmas cards at all. They're all on a theme, but they're all different as well. Now this card is quite shiny and thick. It's very different using the gel pens on this paper. I might have been better off using a fine liner. On previous years when I've made my own Christmas cards, I have used a fine liner or a Sharpie or a thin Sharpie, but it didn't occur to me this year to do that. So these had to be done very carefully because I didn't want to smudge them. And on this shiny card, the ink does take a little bit longer to dry. What did I do? I drew a rough template of a triangle on the page in pencil, very lightly, so I could rub it out afterwards. And then I just took my pen and drew the swirls in and just filled in the gaps as I would any other Zentangle. I only had one that didn't work out, which is why I've only got 9 to send, but I probably won't even send 9, I'll probably send 5 or 6. Have some spare for next year. What else have I been up to? Well, I do feel like I've been a little bit more organised in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yes, ever since I got back from holiday, you know, it was a long holiday and it took a little while to kind of get back into the whole routine of things. And I think because as well the nights are drawing in, so there's less time to actually be creating stuff in good light like this. And yeah, I do feel that over the last few weeks I've put my wall planner on the wall, I've updated it with all my post-it notes, and yeah, so we're on track again now. So if you've been watching some of my full process videos, you may have noticed that I have stopped putting the music on a loop. I had a few complaints. I genuinely, I understand it. It's very difficult when you're using the YouTube audio library to find tracks that are long enough for a full process video, and so I generally put them on a loop. And really what I've done now is I've taken several tracks and put them in one long track so that the music doesn't play on a loop, and yeah, hopefully it's a little less irritating for people. It seems to have worked anyway. People aren't complaining anymore. So I almost forgot to say that on this picture I've been trying to use these new rollerball liquid ink pens. Now these are just Tesco's own brand, supermarket brand, but you can get them as uniball ones as well. And they're horrible. They're actually just horrible to use. You can't really see, but the black ink isn't very black at all. and they're very scratchy. Let me see if I can show you. The colour is so scratchy, and yeah, the effect just isn't very good at all. So these will be alright for handwriting pens or on a different sort of paper, I expect. But in my sketchbook, yeah, the black is not as black as the gel pens. So my little health update. Well, so I know some of you will check out at the end point when I do my little health update, but I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and this will be my last crafty arty update until January. I will still be posting my regular Neurographic Zentangle videos on a Tuesday, and fingers crossed I will be able to post the next part of the Easy Doodle tutorials over the Christmas period, but if I can't, like I said, that will be January. So I'll do my little health update whilst I'm drawing. What's been happening? Well, I've spoken to endocrinology and they're happy with my progress. I've got blood tests this week for checking my thyroid levels, and hopefully they'll still be okay and I won't need to go back on the medication. And I've also got my DEXA scan for my osteopenia to see if that's progressing or not over the next week. So it's back and forth to the hospital a little bit. I have had a few quite tired days as well over the last few weeks. And again, I don't know if that's to do with the evenings drawing in quicker or if it's just because I'm colder. When I get cold, and I do get very cold actually, my hands and my feet very cold, and quite often I get chills as well. Like I can feel it's warm, but I just get chills. And I think that happens when I get very, very tired. It's like my body just can't cope, so it just shuts down and puts all its energy into my torso and forgets about my extremities, I think. I'm still taking extra vitamin D supplements. I'm still having to wear sun cream on my face twice a day, and I'm still having to use a special cream at night. I don't think the mark on my face has gone down at all, but it has stopped reacting since I used the steroid creams. So, well, that's not strictly true. I've had 1 or 2 very minor flare-ups of it over the last 6 months, but in general, yeah, my face used to flare up every single day, and it's only been flaring up once or twice in the last 6 months, so I can't complain about that. Still no news from rheumatology and still no news from dermatology, but hopefully I'll get appointments in the new year for those. So yeah, I think that's about it for this week, and yeah, I'll be back with my next chatty one in January, beginning of January sometime, when things settle back into their usual routine. So until then, I'm wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me this week. It's much appreciated. Do give me a thumbs up if you've made it this far, because your support is so much appreciated. And yeah, I will catch up with you in the new year.